From NBC North Dakota Sports, you're watching live coverage of the 34th Annual KFYR TV Budweiser Bowling Classic. Brought to you by McQuaid Distributing in Bismarck, Braun Distributing in Dickinson, and Delaney Distributors in Williston. Now, here are your hosts, Lee Timmerman and Jim Mellon.
Well, Midway Lanes in Mandan is pretty silent right now, but we'll get the lanes cranked up. Of course, there was a lot of action here this morning as we are here for the 34th Annual KFYR TV Budweiser Bowling Classic. Along with Jim Mellon and Brian Gehring, I am Lee Timmerman. And guys, one of the questions I get all the time is, why do you do this on Super Bowl weekend? And I say, hey, we have been on this spot for a long time. The Super Bowl has figured out that we're having so much fun here. Jim, they're trying to sneak in on our fun, and they moved the Super Bowl to us, didn't they?
They most certainly did. You know something, but they did the right thing. We got to start a little earlier, and they're starting a little later, and we're all going to be able to see it anyway.
Yeah. All right, you got a thing you want to let the fans know about, and there's a reason that Brian is standing to your left.
Yes, I want to introduce Brian Gehring. He's been around me for about 28 years, working in high school for me, buying my place up in Williston, coming down here. We went in partnership up in Devil's Lake, and now he's going to join me here at Midway Lanes as a full partner. He'll be full-time in 3 years, so he's going to make me work 3 more years, but I'm retiring after 53 years, and Brian's going to come in. So here's Brian. I just want to have him say a couple things.
Right, well, thanks, Jim. I'm happy to be home. Bismarck's where I grew up. Worked for this gentleman for most of my adult life, and I'm just happy to get in here and get him to retire and go and enjoy the traveling with his wife.
Thank you. By the way, Brian shot the tournament too. He got in 6th place. He missed the show by 1 position, so he's not a slough out there. He could bowl too.
Yeah, almost made a couple opens though in this position round. Kind of did Brian in. Let's tell you a little bit about the tournament. 120 bowlers started yesterday, and then after rolling 8 times, we were down to the top 30. And at the banquet last night, Jim, it got really interesting because the 28, 29, and 30th position, so right at the cut line, which Brian was a part of, there was a tie for that last spot.
Yes, at 258 there was a tie. 29th, 28th, 29th, and 30th spots. So we just read 3 names, said you're all in. Yeah, it was fun. It was crazy. I've never seen a tournament like this over the years. Right when we started the tournament yesterday, we had the 30th guy come in, and he got a call that he had to go to work. Mm-hmm. So we scrambled around and found a guy in the crowd that was an alternate. We put him in. We got the tournament started. Today is another story.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that later, but it's an amazing story when we come back on that. But we had 4 shots at 300, 297, and 3 288s. Didn't quite get the $300 out for the 300 game, but some amazing shooting. We're excited.
You needed yesterday to average 207 and a quarter to get into the. So that's exactly what Brian actually averaged. And I'm going to have you hold the mic and ask Brian a little bit about the scoring conditions. What was today like compared to what you guys and gals had yesterday?
Today, it seemed the lane pattern seemed to hold up a lot better than it did yesterday. I mean, they just didn't dry up as bad. So the scoring, I think the pace was a little bit higher.
Well, it's called the Stepladder Finals, and if you don't know what the Stepladder Finals are, out of our 120 bowlers, the final 5 are here to roll 4 matches head-to-head, and whoever is the wins the last one is our champion. And Jim, let's let everybody know that our defending champion, Matt Smallin, made it to today, but Matt didn't roll well enough to be back in the show. There are 5 guys that made it into the show, and let's meet them now. Our number 5 qualifier is Justin Coast. Justin comes from Moorhead, and he came in with a plus 355.
Yes, Justin's been here before. He knows the game. He knows how the routine goes. He's going to be a player. He spins her up there pretty good, so the pins will be flying when he gets up there. He's got a heck of a chance.
And the most interesting part of today is our number 4 qualifier, as Bob Vandervorst rolled really well, and then Bob had an allergic reaction and couldn't go. So Tristan Clymer, who you're seeing right there, the number 31 qualifier from yesterday, the alternate, comes in and takes over late in the day today, right?
Yes, he sure did. We called on him in about the 9th frame of the 9th game. Said, "It looks like you're going to have to play the 10th game. Bob is declaring a medical emergency here." So we got him down there, threw a couple practice balls. He was our alternate for the tournament, Kristen was. Anyway, he gets into the show. His opponent shoots 250 at him. And not to be outdone, he shoots 260 plus the bonus, giving him 90, and he slides into 5th place.
Fourth place.
Excuse me, fourth place.
Yeah, we'll roll our first match, a plus 377, the combined between Bob and Tristan. And a guy we've seen on TV here is our number 3 qualifier, Clayton Moore. Clayton, we determined, I think this is our 6th time that we'll see Clayton roll on TV in this event. A plus 380, I believe it was, for Clayton. Clayton comes to us, from Alexandria, Minnesota, our number 3 qualifier.
Oh, he plays all the stops. This is his last one, I think, of the year. No, they got one more Sunset over in West Fargo there. But Clayton's unbelievable. He's steady. He never gets shook up. He'll throw a bad game, but he'll just stay steady like most of these guys. And he just seems to have the ability to come back from being way down and crawling back up. That's what he did today. He's got a very good chance of winning this thing.
Well, Clayton was in the championship match in 2015, finished second to Matt Smolin on that particular year. Our top 2 qualifiers, we go lefty-lefty. We got Blake Wahlstrom, our number 2 qualifier. Blake's from Minot with a plus 445.
Yeah, you know, Blake is kind of interesting. Yesterday they're bowling. He's done with his, let's see, they bowled 8 game. He's done with his 5th game, and he says, I got to shoot a 700 in the last 3 games. He shoots 750 something his last 3 to get in. He did it on the last game. He just blew him out. So he's in our game, and I'll tell you what, these guys turn it up so hard. The pins are going to be flying all over the place. And you look at it and say, how can you get that much mustard on that ball? They just, I just don't, I see so much energy in them balls when they release them. I couldn't do it in 100 years.
How about 101?
101.
All right. And our number 1 qualifier, speaking of 1, Eric Parby from Fargo, our top qualifier. Eric has been in the championship match before. He finished second to Ryan Sandvik in 2014, and this will be the 3rd time that Eric is on TV. He said every 3 years he makes the TV show. This is year number 3, and Eric is our number 1 qualifier.
And he also told me on the side there, he said, I think it's my turn. So, you know, you in there 3 times, and, you know, he's crawling up there each year more and more, and he was, you know, a pretty good qualifier in all the years we've had him. So let's see if he can say, you know, hold his words to be true.
Well, Eric will wait. He'll bowl that last championship match. That's the beauty of being the number 1 qualifier. You don't have to get through anybody to get there. But our first match is coming up next here on the 34th annual KFYR TV Budweiser Bowling Classic. So we have Justin Coast and Tristan Clymer coming up right after you see this. Welcome back to Midway Lanes in Mandan. $2,000 goes to our champion, and there's the trophies they're battling for, the runner-up and the championship trophy. Lee Timmerman and Jim Mellon back with you as we have our 4th and our 5th qualifiers. Justin Coast and Tristan Clymer warming up, and I believe they've thrown their warm-up tosses, and Jack's getting everything ready, and off we go again.
Right, the higher qualifier gets a call who starts first, and it looks like Tristan going to go first. Tristan going to go first.
And here's our first TV shot.
As you notice, you know, those pins are pretty bright and stuff. They're brand new. We put them in on the final match. These guys got to throw some pretty good shots because that pin is pretty solid. So they're going to get some mixment out like it would be if they were like a year old.
And the 9-count spare for Clymer. Tristan's just 19 years old, but he's been bowling for a long time already.
Right, he has, and he's a good shooter. He was in the junior scratch matches all the time, and he's just getting into the adult ranks now, and I'll tell you, he's a nice player.
Go ahead.
I was just saying the form on Kristen, if you look at it real close there, he's just solid. He plants that foot. He has a nice knee bend. He gets good release. He'll be a player today. And Justin, he's been around, you know. He's been playing all these turns in the upper Midwest. You see and hear his name a lot. Let's see how he does at Midway Lanes.
Strike in the first frame. This is his second frame.
Ooh, he dropped that one. He lost it off his hand.
Brian's on headset with us now. Brian Gehring. And Brian, anything that you came across on, I almost called them 15 and 16 again, but 31 and 32, that makes this pair of lanes any more interesting than anything else in the house?
You know, I have to think back to remember if I bowled on that bowl today. Kristen's the reason I talked about it. But they look pretty good. Pretty similar to right when we were positioning.
Well, you know the old story about 31-32, there's one board difference. The old 15 and 16, and we got a different surface, like I say, every year on there. But it still has the characteristics, it moves about one board different between the two of them. We don't know why. The surfaces are all made the same, but it's just a characteristic of it. I don't know if the heat temperature going through or what.
Tristan looks really solid right now.
He really does.
Third frame for Clymer.
Whoa, that's, oh, he went Brook and he got away with it. He knows it. I pick on him all the time. He let his hair grow out a little bit on us, you know, and I said, I'll tell you, you're going to get your hair cut for the TV show, aren't you, if you make it? We'll see. Well, he didn't get his hair cut because we didn't give him enough notice. We didn't give him enough notice, but he's really a nice employee of ours, and he's worked hard, and he's doing well. Very nice.
Third frame, yep.
Very nice.
That was a really good shot. Smooth. Watched it out of him all day today.
At first it looked like he thought it might hang out to the right, but I tell you, you guys can bring right there. It grabs hold and hits the money shot right there in the pocket.
In the pit.
Yep. Frame number 4.
And another good shot.
This is the craziest thing that happened today, you know, while we were watching him shoot his 4-pin there, you know, how this turned around with Bob Vandervoort's getting sick like that. But we have a rule where we have standbys and alternates. If they don't make them, we take in the order they finished. And Kristen is that guy. But who would think that the alternate could come in and shoot a 260 right out of the blocks without bowling all morning? That's what we got done here, and he's in here playing in the 5th and 4th position.
So for Coast, it's been strike spare, strike spare. 4th frame coming up for Clymer.
See if he can take advantage of that Brooklyn.
He's got his own style there. If you notice, his elbow was cocked when he's coming down through. That's normally they want to stretch that thing out and make it one long thing, one long arm swing. But he always keeps it cocked, and he seems to work for him. He's his own style. That's why he grew up to learn how to bowl, and that's what is working good for him. You do a lot of ball drilling, Brian.
I drill a few.
Yeah, did you drill any of Kristen's?
I have not yet.
Yeah, okay.
And he's throwing a fairly aggressive bowling ball on this pattern right now.
That was one thing I thought yesterday when it was the first time I'd actually been here right at the start of the tournament. And so you had a really nice opening ceremonies, and then 120 people start bowling.
That's what I thought. Oh boy, what a mistake that was.
I left it open in the 5th. But my point is that it's just, to me, it's just like golf. It doesn't. It takes like 2 rolls, and then the guys and gals are immediately mad at themselves or something of what went wrong. It's just like everybody's feeling good until you do maybe something like that.
But you don't want to do that to Justin, because look what happens. He'll go after you. He'll see an opening. He'll take advantage of it. Seen him do that many, many times.
And Justin comes to us from Moorhead, our number 5 qualifier. First step here in our step ladder finals.
I see he's got an 848 for his high 3-game set there.
That looked really good.
That's a 282 average. You know that, don't you?
I do not.
Yes, that's big. 300s. How many? He just says he's got one, but I know he's got more than that. He's averaging 231 in his average. These guys coming in, they're no slouches. You know, they're coming in. They do a lot of competitive bowling, and they can about play on any condition there is.
Does it trip? No, it's going to hang.
That's the product of those new bowling pins right there.
Yeah, the new bowling pins is right. It just doesn't have the mix you normally would have. That single pin's going to come to haunt him unless he can get something going.
That just means that, Jim, you're just mean.
Jack does it. I'm going to blame it on Jack, our head mechanic.
Okay, Jack Nelson's mean.
Yeah. You know, I see all these TV commercials across the country where they show these old beat-up, ugly, dirty pins that are being showed all over the United States. And I say, why don't they buy new pins like we do every year? You know, keep it classy. As you can see, he's behind a little bit there. 107 to, well, a potential of 130, 40 there.
Yeah, Tristan has to make up for frame number 5, and there's a start. One way to do it.
There's a start. If you see anything, Brian, just hop in here. We're cutting Brian in on the show because he's going to start doing a lot more of this kind of stuff for us here. He's going to be the new owner, and it's not that he doesn't have his feet wet, but it's just a little more experience for him.
Boy, that one's solid.
That was really good off of his hand.
I mean, I guess you can never tell if, you know, a 10 pin's going to stay up or not. But I mean, you guys pretty much know, don't you? When by the time the ball's how far down the lane, do you know whether you've?
Well, we know they could hit the pocket. It's just a matter if they got the energy left in the ball to kick that 10 pin out. There's any little rollout. The 10 pin's normally going to stay.
I hit there on frame 8 after 3 in a row.
Right. He'll probably cover that pretty easy, but that opening there, or not opening, but that not getting another strike gives Clymer, you know, a chance to dig back in there. These are your active balls. You make one little mistake with them, they're gone.
And he does cover.
That's a good spare right there. Any multi-pins spares that you're shooting at out here, they make your knees start knocking.
Are you talking about yourself on the position round? Sorry, Brian.
Thanks.
Sorry, Brian.
Thanks a lot.
I just thought I'd let everybody know.
You're not wrong.
You were rolling pretty good there for a while.
I did. That was a rough game for me.
Well, Brian had a great tournament. He missed by 22 pins of getting into the step ladder.
8th frame for Clymer there. Now he's got back-to-back strikes. So after the miss in the 5th,
yeah, he gets one more. You got to make this interesting.
And then
he looks pretty relaxed for just coming in really late in the day.
Well, this is the first experience for him on TV and first year bowling it. A little bit of everything. I can't believe he's.
We mentioned 19 years old, and you write down how many years have you bowled, and he's already rolled 13 years.
He fell into bowling real early.
And at that age, you're fearless. You know?
Yeah. Well, they grow up then with that same attitude.
9th frame.
Ooh, that was a good ball.
Almost to 710.
You could have had a very easy strike there. That should have blown it up, but he didn't get it. That's a tough break there. He's lucky he didn't leave the 10 pin. So that fluky hit we see every once in a while.
He might have got a little fast too.
Yeah, his feet work are a little fast anyway. But he did it again. 2 single pins on the same lane. That is not good. He knows it too. I don't have to exclaim on any more of that. He's pretty down on that one.
That gives him 184 through 9 with nothing working into the 10th.
I think Justin.
That's a good spot here for Justin.
Yeah, I think he got handed a very nice thing from him. Well,
knocked down 6. This is where the as a bowler and a competitor, the inner math monologue in your brain is constantly going, and now I think it's going for these guys too, right?
It changes your heart rate real quick.
Well, this spare suddenly got extremely difficult.
Yeah. With the new pins, see that? Didn't have the carry through.
Okay, so We are tight. Neither guy with a strike working into the 10th.
Well, Tristan has the lead by 2 now.
Yep. So whoever can get the first double is going to put the pressure on. Anybody's game.
Coast in the 10th.
That's a really good shot.
Oh, he just handed it to Kristen.
Not a really good result.
Wow. Amazing how this ball game's turning out. And they're shooting such big numbers in the qualifying this morning. I mean, we're talking about lowering the numbers by 30, 40 pins, but that can happen on TV. Everybody's a little nervous.
And you have nothing else going on around you, so it's a different level.
Oh,
right
yes.
now.
Well, plus the spectators are watching. You know, we don't have that many. We probably got 40, 50 people around here.
And the place is packed right up until then. Yeah.
Well, the bar is full of them, too. And the bar, you know, quite a few of them are in the bar. They can watch it in there.
Okay,
A different atmosphere. And then everybody else at home got to turn on. They get great viewing, audience viewing in the area with this tournament.
So Coast finishes with a 190.
It's in his hands. What he's going to do.
And there
There's your
is the
winner.
man who moves on. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. He was ahead 1 pin. You bet. That was tough.
But when you're bowling head to head, I mean, it's.
He could have do it again.
Nope, he covered. But there's a perfect example in this one head to head on how dramatically things can shift and how fast they can shift back and forth, isn't it?
Exactly. Now, this has just taught him a very good lesson in bowling that, you know, single pins are very important, and this is his first tournament, and I'm sure his nerves aren't the best they are in his first experience. That didn't hurt him a bit. He got game 1 with a 9-pin hit.
So it'll be a 201 for Clymer. So Clymer advances with a 201 to Coast 190, and our first step of the step ladder finals is complete. Clayton Moore will come in, our number 3 qualifier, and take on Tristan right after you see this on your news leader. Midway Lanes is where we are for the 34th annual KFYR TV Budweiser Bowling Classic. We'd like to thank McQuaid Distributing in Bismarck, Braun Distributing in Dickinson, along with Delaney Distributors in Williston for being a part of the 34th time that we have had this KFYR TV Budweiser Bowling Classic. So without sponsors, this thing doesn't happen, right, guys?
That's exactly right. In fact, it adds to the prize list very nicely. There's $5,000 put in from this group of gentlemen you just talked about, these businesses. We appreciate that. The prize money is added off to the entry fee and all that. It adds up so we can put out these kind of cash prizes. There were a lot of money changed hands last night, too, you know, just in some of the sideline little tournaments that they have in this thing and everything else. And it was amazing how much money went out.
Clayton, as the number 3 qualifier, will get to choose. Clayton, we've seen, as we mentioned off the top, this is his 6th time on TV, and every time you watch this guy bowl, and he is so solid.
Yes.
He definitely puts some revolutions on the bowling ball.
Well, I've seen that throughout the whole field. I mean, very few people weren't just tearing that rack apart this week, and I was just like, how do they do this?
Oh, Clymer strike.
Yeah, he
he
started right. I don't think he'll miss single pins anymore.
He might have that out of his system.
Yes, I think he might. That's got to be scary, miss 2 single pins and still win.
Well, it looks like it relaxed him because that was a really good shot to start this match.
Well, he's been in a lot of competitive tournaments through the junior ranks, and he's just now starting the adult ranks, and he's been doing very well. So I think, like you said, the bugs are probably out of his system now.
We'll see how Clayton does here. He had a pretty bewildered look on his face on his warm-ups. I think 32 is hooking quite a bit harder than 31.
So he's already mad at the 10-pin. I always call, and again, I'm not around bowling much, but it has to be the most cursed pin in bowling. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what. Many years ago, I said I had a license plate said 10-pin. I had they called me 10-pin everywhere I went, and all that because I leave the 10-pin.
So the first frame for Moore is a 9-count spare. Clayton works for Central Lakes Restaurant Supply.
It's out of Minnesota.
Yes. Osakis, Alexandria area. 38 sanctioned 300s.
Oh yeah, he's solid. He's definitely. So a lot of these guys will not go on the pro tour because they like to keep their amateur status. He's one of them. He could be pro. He's that good.
First toss for Moore on lane 31.
Wow,
And
there's
2
two
tens.
solid 10 pins. He'll be changing balls if he doesn't carry. He's not going to mess around too long.
The way I'm looking at it, though, is that between Clayton and I, we have 38 300s.
You are so right.
That is. Yeah.
Talking about years, this is my 34th, and we were talking yesterday. You're about 27 to 8.
I think 27. Yep.
27 years together. We could be soulmates.
Well, you guys mesh well on the show.
Yeah, we've had fun. Well, you're going to start learning because you're taking over.
And he covers the 10 again.
You will not see him leave single misses like Christian did. You know,
Tristan
Clymer. He just did not miss.
It's part of your charm, Jim.
He mixed them heavy pins out of there.
So it's a double to open for Clymer.
Those new pins, they're not quite as crisp as they were with the other pins. You know what I'm saying? They're just kind of dud. You get a score on these guys, you're earning it.
I don't know that people really realize that it takes a while to break pins in,
it really
quote
does.
unquote.
You bet it really does. You get the bottoms loosened up a little bit, get the bounce going, and
How many games does it take, would you say?
I would say 3-4 months of bowling. They're already broken nice.
I was going to say he had his triple, but
yeah,
there's the 10.
Looks like that wide angle entry's not paying off.
Well, it did on 32 because he shoved him down. There, I think when he leaves that, to me it looks like he may be putting a little extra speed on it.
Okay.
It's not quite rolling.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
More slide, less hook. Is that what you're
Didn't
saying?
do it again.
He left the single. Yep.
That is 3 single pins in 2 matches.
And it looks like he's foot stuck on that one.
Shame when he's a better bowler than that.
Did I interpret that right, Brian?
Yes.
You did.
Okay.
Or he did the veteran move that make it look like he stuck.
Oh.
We're pretty good at that.
No, I was talking about the pins where where his ball is getting more slide and less.
Oh yes,
less
yeah, you were
hook. Okay.
right on that.
He doesn't bowl. He knows more stuff about bowling than most people. I love to work with him. It's a pleasure, Lee.
Well, after an open, this is where Clayton usually comes back with a hammer.
Yep.
And Moore did just that. But you talk about looking good from right out of his hand. This replay
Smooth as
shows
silk.
looking good.
Like butter, they say.
Well, 10 in the pit.
Yep. I do not like looking at a 9 blow for anybody because they're a better caliber bowler than that.
It is a blemish, and we don't like looking at it either.
Yes. You can see that arm swing is a lot straighter than Clymer's is.
Still can't get the strike in this game on that lane.
So we got 1, 2, 3 10 pins already setting out there for against the guys. Well, that's 4 10 pins. So the lanes aren't scoring right now, but we'll get it picked up.
That would be the solid 10 pin when it whips all the way around it.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, what happens is the 3 pin goes in and catches the 6 pin just a little bit on the weak side, and instead of charging it right into the 10 pin, it slides around it. It's barely nicks the 6 pin, and it gives it the slide around. It didn't quite finish.
So that gives Moore 59 through 3 with that there. You see the spare up in the 4th.
It's still anybody's game, you know. It's early. The double that Clymer had It's offsets, you know, the 4 spares or 4 fills that Clayton has.
Well, if we learned anything about that first match we saw, don't write down who you think's going to win until it's over.
Exactly, till it's over.
There's the strike.
He's got that nice little
shot.
carry. You bet he's got that nice carry. He kicked a 5 out with the ball and got the mix off the wall.
I said that specifically for Wayne Wolf, who's producing in the truck, because that's what Wayne did. There, I'm calling you out, Wayne.
Funny. If he can get this one, then he gets back in control pretty good. Yeah, this one, you just don't know what's going to happen. You got mistakes on both sides.
It's just the atmosphere of these TV matches is so foreign to anything else that you guys experience during a tournament of this caliber that it just makes it so unique.
Clymer's got his spectators here. I can hear some hollering in the background here. I think his family's here and they're pretty proud of him.
That was a pretty big double right there.
Yes, it was. That 9 pin,
covered.
good kick on the 9.
Explain a little bit more on why, Brian.
Well, when you leave that open frame, you want to come back, you get the double, it just helps take care of that open.
Yeah, he's got 2 doubles and one open, and without Clayton having any double, puts him in the lead pretty good. There's one right there.
Steve, you're right.
Yeah, he threw that one nice. And the 10 pin came out.
Yep.
I think he tightened it up a little bit there, didn't he? Did you notice that?
I think so. Trying to stay in the oil maybe a little bit longer. Like I mentioned, Tristan's throwing a very aggressive bowling ball, and they're both close to the same part of the lane, so that could really mess Clayton's reaction up.
Clayton wasn't standing there talking to himself. Jack Nelson is just off to our left, and so he and Jack, there's nobody else out there to talk to, so usually have other people around when you're bowling in a tournament, so he's using Jack as his ear a little bit, I think.
Yeah. I like his style, though. He's just so smooth. That's a more aggressive ball. He changed balls.
No, he's throwing the same ball. I think
he
moved a little left and gave it a little bit more room.
All right.
Just to get it to set up and roll into the pocket a little
Well, I
bit.
like the looks of that one.
Yeah. Here's his strike in the 6th frame, so
That's all 10 in the pit. That's strong. That's very strong.
it's a double there for Moore.
Yeah.
6th frame here for Tristan Clymer.
Oh, that was solid. There's no guessing game there.
Okay, now that one sounded.
Yes, it sounded like
strike.
Yes, it did. It took the new pin sound out of there. That was a strong release.
Well, Jim, I know you've been around here and the improvements you've made here at Midway Lanes over the years. I'm not asking you about that. I'm going to ask you about a young man like Tristan. You've seen a lot of guys and gals come through your junior program, and he's just one of them. What does that feeling or what does that do for you?
I'll tell you what, if I have anything to say about my legacy in bowling, is the young people I've worked with, 700 of them. And I'll tell you what, they're coming back as, 53 years ago, they're coming back as grandparents now. And they're coming in, and you know what they always say? Best place I ever worked, tells his kids. And I just smile, or if we get going over to the shopping center and we've had birthday parties and somebody will come up and say, we had a wonderful time at your place, our birthday party. They said your staff was so nice, and it gives credit to our young people. So yeah, my legacy is the young kids.
Thanks for sharing. I wanted to ask you about that, especially given the situation with Tristan coming in here and taking over for Bob late and winning the first match. It's pretty neat.
I'll tell you, over the years, the payback for me is just all the accolades I get from having such wonderful staff. We create that. We teach them how to answer the phone, how to make change in the till, how to handle controversy, how to go down and settle things. So they leave here ready to go to college, and anywhere they go, they can get a job. They find out they worked at Midway Lanes, they're automatically hired on the spot.
This is the 7th frame for Clayton Moore.
Yeah, it is still a pretty tight game there. Clymer's doing pretty good now. You got a double and a 4-bagger.
And a cover there for Clayton.
Yep. Sorry. Okay, he's going to have to pick himself up here real fast.
Especially with Clymer working on the 4.
Clayton needs one here.
Like that one?
He definitely needed that one. Now it makes a match out of it again. He's not out of it at all yet.
In a head-to-head match, which you guys have both rolled hundreds of at times, even though you can't control anything of what your opponent does, how much of what they do you pay attention to?
Well, you got to play your own game, you know, because if they're going to be on a striking spree there, you know, you can't control that. So what you have to do is make sure that you just stay steady to the way you roll the ball, because you can't control how many strikes they're going to. All you can do is make sure you make good shots.
Going for 5 in a row.
See what I said? Now that 4-bagger just turned into a turkey.
How about same question for you, Brian, in terms of the head-to-head and how you what you do with what your opponent does?
I try to not pay attention to what they're doing. If they leave you an opening, that's where you almost have a sense of relief, and to me it kind of relaxes me, helps me throw a better shot to try to, you know, take advantage of that so you can take the lead in the match.
Well, that split came in the 8th frame. Never a good time to have one of those, but the later it is, the worse it is, right?
Right. Well, Clayton's sitting on a 168 with his spare in the 9th frame there, but if he gets a double, then he's going to slide right past him because he's going to pick up that deficit he has.
Really important for Clymer to strike here. Just like that.
You know, that little lighter hit really works good for him. It really works good for him.
Well, he's keeping his momentum. That's the other part here is, you know, when you miss those single pins or leave an open, you feel like all your momentum just leaves you.
You're so right in that comment. I really believe that. But he's been able to recover, and that's the main thing.
He has. I think that's part of being 19.
No fear. Huh?
When you go out now, you have a 3-foot putt. You know, you miss them. But when you're 19, you run them right in.
Exactly.
Slamming off the back of the cup, huh? Right, 9th frame for Clayton Moore.
I like his backswing.
That's pretty wide.
Pretty wide, but I like that straight arm swing he has. He just didn't get he had a little too much speed on that one. He's got to take a run at it and try to convert this.
The ball is trying, but it's not going to get there, is it? Yep.
Barely got the hip in. A little bit.
No, I think he missed that at the bottom of the swing.
The bottom of his swing. Looked like he had a lot of speed on that one.
All right, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard is this one?
I would say 8 out of 10, or
9.
8 or 9. That is tough. Got to hit it perfect. Turn now.
Oh, he got it. That was a great shot.
I'll tell you what, he needed that too. That was an experienced shot there.
Talk about why important getting a count in the 9th frame is.
Well, you know, the 9th, I've always said, it's one from the 9th frame out if it's a tight game, because if anybody gets, you know, like a critical spare there, he's got the option to get a double and take him out.
Down to the 10th frame.
One time.
Right there. You know what's really interesting, Brian Gary here off to my left here, he's a master ball driller. Tell him how many different balls are out there. This is a loaded question real quick because there's thousands of them out there, the different manufacturers, how many different types of balls each one of them has out there, and they could almost get that ball where they want it.
Between the companies, there's, you know, each of them have 20, 30 as far as high-end equipment. Although Brunswick just acquired quite a few of the manufacturers.
The Ebonite, they bought Ebonite out, yeah.
He doesn't like
tugged
that.
it. Yeah, he tugged it. That's his second shot.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
Second shot of the 10th. So he's got a what? 208.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's assuming those two go down.
It still requires. I'm going to get some addition going here. Still requires a fill, 10th frame.
So it's a 208 for Moore.
Looks like Clymer, all he needs is a spare, or a fill rather, and he might walk this thing right in. Still going to take a fill in the 10th frame.
There you see, he's 171 count, strike in the ninth. That's how important that strike in the ninth is.
That's the load up
right
frame.
here. Yep.
Oh,
He did.
ooh, 190. He's got to get a spare and 9 pins.
Well, hopefully he's not thinking about the 3 that he's run by
No,
already.
that never goes back into your mind, does it?
I would be. I've been missing that pin a lot lately. He got it.
He got it.
Now he's got to make a good shot.
And this match will come down to the last ball.
Last ball for the match. You know, it's amazing. If he climbs up into the next position, he's going to win first or second.
Yeah. First is $2,000. Second is $1,400.
If he can win his next match, you
Yep.
bet.
The next 2 matches are playing the opposite side of the lane.
Yep. Yeah, they're lefties. That's it.
There it is.
He needed it. He needed that.
So Tristan Clymer advances, beating Clayton Moore 210 to 208. Oh, it came right down to that last roll in the 10th. Our number 2 qualifier is Blake Wahlstrom, and he's coming up next as Tristan Clymer continues to climb up the step ladders here on the 34th annual KFYR TV Budweiser Bowling Classic. Welcome back to Midway Lanes here in Mandan. Jim Mellon and Brian Gehring, along with me, Lee Timmerman. That is Blake Wahlstrom. Blake is from Minot, our number 2 qualifier. Eric Parvey from Fargo is our top qualifier, and Blake's happy that that last roll, I think, was in his practice. He came in with a plus 445.
Again, he's the one we were talking about earlier. You know, he's basically out of the tournament yesterday, and he's got 3 games to go, and he says, I'm shooting 700, get back in, and he goes 748. Unbelievable, almost 250 average in the last 3. So you're never out of when that caliber of bowler. They never quit. Never give up. You can start with, like, we had one guy shoot a 101 yesterday, and he snuck back to be respectable. But he didn't quit. And this guy's a 220 average shooter. So those 101s can happen to anybody, including you and I.
I'd be happy if I could get to 101. Actually, with 2 shoulder surgeries within the last year, I'm not probably ever bowling again, and even left-handed.
I know. You know, isn't it fun to get older?
No, not really. But the alternative is not all that great either.
Well, I said my body's been very kind to me. It's been well lived in.
Again, we're looking in at Blake Wahlstrom. 231 league high average. 803 is his high series. And
he's elected to start.
He has a 300 game, and this is the first frame of our second to last match.
There, he didn't throw a strike in warm-up, so he knows where everything's at now.
Any dynamic in having a left-hander come in as we take a look at his form here?
I love left-handed bowlers. I mean, the way they so smooth and so relaxed, and the spin they get on the ball and the reaction. I mean, a lot of the right-handers can get it, but it seems like they got just a little more turn on their ball, these lefties.
Natural. Blake's throwing urethane, too. So that equipment's not quite as strong as what you've seen coming off the right side today. So that's why he looks like he might be playing a little bit straighter.
Okay, define not quite as strong.
It's not as aggressive. It doesn't create as much traction on the lane.
Doesn't have the reactive chemicals in it.
No.
In fact, you see a lot of the pros now going to urethane. They're going back to the less aggressive equipment for a lot of different reasons. The ball's charged in there so hard they need to settle it down a little bit. So they go over to the urethane now, which was a very popular 20 years ago.
But you also need to be doubly as accurate.
Oh, definitely. Doubly. You got to be accurate with that ball.
Clymer's second frame and his first strike of this match.
That solid 9-pin was solid. That's his first shot of this match. Yeah, I mean, you just look at it like, how did that not go down? So he's still sitting in good shape there. Clymer's just, you know, he's well lined up, so it'll be a good match.
Frame number 2 for Wahlstrom.
Well, that was a nice reaction.
That was a little teaser there.
Yeah, but I liked it, the little more consistent roll that urethane has.
It's smooth.
Yes,
is
it's
the
very
best way to
smooth.
describe that. If
You
you
bet.
watch,
Look
you
at
see
that.
how it doesn't really snap on the back. It's just a controlled motion. And Blake looks pretty focused when he was up there.
You know, he's a scary bowler because when he says he's going to do something, he generally does it.
It's his second time on the TV part of this show.
There's quite a family of friends that travel together. You know, all the guys like Matt Smallin. You got Darren Seeney. You got Blake. They all bowl together all over the country. And they're all here again today.
He likes it, and it goes down. 3 to start.
And he's throwing those new pins around pretty good.
Yes, he
Just
is.
catching the light swisher hit.
He's just a nice guy too. You know, he's just down and balanced. He does not a hothead. He's just smooth, easy to talk to. He's just a cool guy. You know what I like about these young people that we see in this type of sport here? They're very respectful to everybody. Very respectable.
It's a good shot, just a little bit high.
Yep, he's struggling a little bit there to get some carry.
You know, Brian, you mentioned Brunswick, and I believe, I hope I don't get my story wrong, but we were at the Biltmore in Asheville, North Carolina. It's a Vanderbilt house, their vacation home.
Okay.
There is a bowling alley in it, and if I'm right, a Mr. Brunswick, the Mr. Brunswick is the guy who put the boards down.
Well, that's pretty exciting and neat.
The original
So
Brunswick.
those were old.
Yeah,
Those have
very,
been there
very
a while.
old. Yep.
Let's see if Tristan can.
Uh-oh.
High.
Yeah, you see that was going to jump on him.
That's a pretty good result for. We can try to
Right.
stay clean here.
Sometimes you get a runaway Brooklyn there, and it didn't happen that time where you get a trip, but he just left a solid. Not enough swing on it.
Get the Brooklyn, then you get some relief. And now, if Blake throws another one, the arm
you
swing
got
might
that
be a
one.
little tight.
Yeah, right now Blake's in the driver's seat. If, like you said, Brian, if Blake gets one here, it's going to start making Clymer think a little bit.
Blake's an electrician, works for Central Power. Been married for a little less than 2 years.
Nice little deep breath there, just to relax his shoulders. Oh yeah.
It's a pretty good shot.
That was a real good shot.
He had him covered from the get-go on that, huh?
All right, he's going to make a decision here real quick.
I think his decision is to keep throwing strikes.
Yes.
What would be the decision?
Yes, that is his decision early.
But you know, yesterday when I was here though, and you walk up and down and you watch people roll for a little while. Every time I saw Blake, I mean, he was wham. He was right there.
I was surprised that when he made that statement, he needed 700 his last 3 to get in. And I thought, you're bowling better than that. And sure enough, he needed every bit of it.
There were a lot of surprised people yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Again, here we go. Oh, that was a good ball.
It's 4 strikes to start it. That's Blake's 5th frame.
You can see him whistling there. He knows he got away with one.
Yeah.
I think he got a little soft with the speed, and it came in.
I thought you were right there when you said it looked like it was starting to move just a hair early. What kind of ball is that? I know it's irritating. What brand?
That's the Purple Hammer.
Purple Hammer.
That
was one of my favorite balls for years.
No, and as Blake is throwing that urethane does have a tendency to dry the lane out faster.
Soaks it up, soaks the oil up.
Yes. So if you watch and he's staying on the same exact line, he may have to start moving a little bit so that ball doesn't start hooking early.
Even if he's the only lefty that's been on here, that's how fast that happens?
Correct.
Oh, yes.
Okay. With urethane.
Yep. With that high rev stuff, it's just spinning so hard on that oil, it just picks it right up, soaks it up. Nope.
High hit there for Clymer.
I think that 4-bagger got in his head.
Might have. You just got to take a deep breath here, make sure you get this spare.
This is his 5th frame.
But as I say that, he should be so proud of himself, you know that.
Oh.
You know, ready to come in here cold like that and be sitting in 3rd position.
And then coming out against the field that he's bowling against.
Yes,
I mean,
yeah, that's unbelievable. At 19 years old, never been on TV before, shooting for $2,000. I mean, all the above is working on his mind. So he can be very, very proud of himself.
Now back to what we were talking about earlier when when you're bowling match play. Tristan needs to do that now, otherwise Blake's going to get really relaxed.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, I noticed one of the last couple of balls, frames he threw, Kristen, as he threw his ball, he didn't belly it out. He went more direct and it overhooked right away. He needed to settle it down with the belly shot. Get the ball to get down the lane further for it turns.
What do you guys want to feel old? We just mentioned that Tristan's 19. Blake was born in 1990.
Okay.
I could be grandfather of these kids. I'd take that. I'm proud.
Was that good again?
That was as nice as you could see it.
You're right, though, Jim. I don't know what it is about lefties, but boy, they just look so smooth. And go back to when I was a kid watching Earl Anthony. I mean, the ball would just, there, I just made myself feel old. But still, I mean, it just looks so smooth.
Well, at any sport, it seems like a lefty has a little bit of, I don't know what you call it, moxie advantage or whatever it is, but they seem to get a little more spin on the ball. And
it's just natural.
It's just natural.
It comes off their hand.
Yeah, they have a wide area out there. When I come back in the next life, I'm going to be left-handed.
7th frame here for Wahlstrom.
He got her.
Yep.
That was a really good shot.
Really good shot. You can see that from the minute it left his hand.
That's 6 strikes and 7 frames.
You know what's really interesting? He's not overhitting it. He's just coming through the ball. And that's where the advantage of the urethane. It's not being controlled by any speed or anything. This ball just gradually moves into the pocket.
7th frame for Clymer.
Here he is. Didn't get there.
Yep, there's a sleeper back there, right?
Yeah, they've got a sleeper. Well, we caught bowling balls around here the other day between 9 and 10 average. 9 to 10 bowling balls each player out there, 120 players. We had about 1,200 bowling balls on the concourse yesterday. That's kind of crazy.
But you know, I was actually talking with John Juba earlier today.
Oh, our first
John won
3 years.
Yep. Well, no, Keith won the first year.
Yeah,
so, John won the second,
3.
third, and fourth year.
Right.
But anyway, he said even back then he used to carry 8 or 9 bowling balls, and he was talking about how, you know, there'd be one that you'd take and you'd never use. All of a sudden you get into a tournament, and the lane condition was just right that ball was 30 pins better than any other one. So, and that, you know, that's a while ago.
Oh yes, and I'll tell you, that is so true what you said there. There he is. He's got a turkey.
That's a good shot.
Yeah, that was a good shot. Well, if Wahlstrom gets one more, it's going to lean on him pretty hard.
Yeah, Blake's pretty well in control of this match right now.
He'll be entering 2 lefties, Parvey and Blake. If that's going to be the match, see what they do with each other's line.
Certainly is appearing that's what we'll have as our top 2, but we still have to finish this one out.
Yep, you never know. That 8th, 9th, and 10th is crucial. He did her.
Here's the 8th frame, and it trips it.
Wow, was that a shot?
Yeah, that ball's rolling really heavy.
Really
to
heavy.
throw that wood around like that.
Oh. You know, the thing about it, you know, 120 players out there, we got about 40, 50 of those guys like that didn't make it. Tells you what the caliber bowler out there is for this weekend.
Yeah, on any given day, just about everybody that was out here can be
definitely
in this position.
I would say there's probably 20, 30 bowlers that was a little tough for them. But the other 90 are winners.
9th frame for Wahlstrom.
A little high.
Yeah.
Well, what's that do? Does that cut him out? These glasses aren't giving me the focus I need. Did he shut him out with that?
I believe so. Let me
90,
do some math
he's got
there.
90 there, and he's got 120 there, 210. I think he did.
Well, if it didn't before, it certainly has now. Yep.
So the declared winner is Blake, because we pick up 190 pins there on the end, and 120 is 210. So yeah, it's pretty tough. Well, that's a good showing though for Clymer. My wife come back and said Clymer is going up the ladder.
He was.
It's kind of cute.
And this is his first year bowling the tournament?
Yes,
So he got TV experience right away. Look at that.
Yeah, you can be very proud of that, parents. 19-year-old coming in here taking on these veterans.
Well, this is finishing up. I'm going to thank you guys very much. Our staff here at Midway for doing a fantastic job all weekend like they always do. And I'm going to get to traveling.
All right.
Welcome aboard.
Safe travels back to Williston, Brian.
Thank you,
You
Lee.
bet.
Looking forward to a lot of nice years with you. Well, maybe 3.
So we do know we have Wahlstrom moving on, but we still have to make sure that Clymer gets his 10 frames finished up.
Yep.
He did have a strike in his first one. This is his 10th frame.
Right. He just got shut out early by just a couple little mistakes, though. A couple little non-carries. But I think he enjoyed himself.
Oh, how could you not? But you know what? As he still has one more. But you talk about, and we say it at the banquet and stuff too, but those alternate positions are important. And I mean, he came here. How many hours did Tristan sit here, not even knowing, or probably even hoping he would, because the only way he gets the bowls if something happens to somebody else. He doesn't want anything to happen to anybody else. Exactly. It happened to Bob, but he was ready, and now he's going to finish third.
And he should have qualified rather shoot. Just the scores went up just a little too high for him yesterday. He got cheated, actually. He did well, 221. Oh, is that, I can't read it.
210.
210, yeah, got it, yeah. Well, good for him, a nice tournament. Bob, you got to be proud. Now, what they did for the audience that's listening, because he stepped in the 10th game after Bob had bowled 9, they made a mutual agreement, and it's received by the tournament manager, which is us, that he comes in and he takes over and gets Bob's score plus his, and they agreed that Bob will get 75% of the prize of what he got, and he'll take 25%. It was decided between the two of them, and we accepted it. But it's all, you know, a couple of guys said, "Oh, this should have been a penalty night." I said, "No, Bob knocked down his pins. Kristen knocked down his pins, and they added together. It's not their fault that this medical condition happened." And we declared him the guy to take over.
And 10th frame here for Wahlstrom. He's just going to finish up a 7. He'll have one more roll here.
And for the audience, just to kind of finish up the thought process on Kristen and him taking over Bob's spot, Bob accidentally got a hold of a candy bar that had some peanuts in it that doesn't agree with his allergies, and it shuts the throat down from breathing and the heart and all that stuff. And he just got real ill and real dizzy.
Yeah, pine nuts. Like
they call them pine nuts. He's taking. He's allergic to it. He didn't know that they were in the bar.
Truth be told, Bob probably rolled more games than he should have this morning.
Exactly. Well, he was quite dizzy, quite hurting, and he finally came out to me and says, "I can't do it anymore."
247 is the final total there for Wahlstrom, and that sets up our championship match, which just happens to be our top 2 qualifiers. Eric Parvey from Fargo, our number 1 qualifier. You're looking there at Blake Wahlstrom from Minot, our number 2 qualifier, and our championship match of year number 34, the KFYR TV Budweiser Bowling Classic, is coming up next at 2:47 to 2:10. We'll be right back. The only thing we have left here of our 34th annual KFYR TV Budweiser Bowling Classic is to figure out who the champion is. We do know that Blake Wahlstrom will be going up against Eric Parvey. Eric, our number 1 qualifier, with a plus 663. That's Eric with the headset on. And once again, we just want to say thank you to Delaney Distributors in Williston, Braun Distributing in Dickinson, and of course McQuaid Distributing here in Bismarck-Mandan for helping make year number 34 possible. Wahlstrom will start championship match.
You know, Eric Parvey there, he wore those headsets throughout the whole tournament. I think it's to relax him so he doesn't hear any other noise. And he'll take them off like he just did. But he's had that, you see these people do this for some kind of relaxing thing they do. He got away with it. Blake has thrown an awful nice ball with that urethane there, but he just let that one go a little early, overhooked. That urethane, it's just a nice subtle hook, but he just got rid of it too early.
Ooh, he got him.
I was wondering there. They like to hit both pins with the ball because of the chance of cheering one straight back, so it just scared us a little bit. But he was fine. He knew what he was doing.
Okay, here's the guy who has knocked down so far more pins than anybody this weekend, Eric Parvey. Eric again from Fargo, finance manager for Valley Express.
For the information of the spectators out there, we had 3 shots, or actually 4 shots at a 300 game. We had a 297, a pair of 288s, and a 286. That means they got the first 10 or 11, and they just missed getting the 300 game. We were offering $300 for every 300 game we got. We did not get any unless it happens here.
Talk about Eric's form.
Oh, he's solid. He's just like any lefty. They're just so natural. I mean, you just watch him. When we say that silly little phrase, smooth as butter, that's what you're seeing.
Third time on TV in this tournament for Parvey.
I had my buddies pull this tournament off the Wednesday Night League again. They didn't fare very well. You know, we had Brian and Paul Moritz and Tom Job. They're very competitive bowlers, but they couldn't handle it this weekend. Again, they got in trouble. In fact, Brian didn't get to shoot the tournament.
He got called into work.
Got called last second.
Last
second.
It was probably 3 minutes before we started.
Yeah, he was not very happy. Well, we had a string of different events happen, so we had to put in an alternate off the field that was waiting to get in. Was the last split second say you're in, and the guy just took a deep gulp, and here he comes.
Where did I put my ball bag at?
Yeah, that was Kevin Gebhardt out of Jamestown. He bowled. He didn't have a good day, but he bowled and he helped us out. So
it's a strike for Parvey to start. Second frame right here for Wahlstrom.
That's much better. That's much better. He's back to where he was. Yeah. He just got a little lazy with that one ball, I think. I love the way that urethane's moving in there. Just smooth. All 10 in the pit again. Up right there.
Third frame. Got it.
Now you're seeing the big boys come to play.
So you're saying it wasn't by accident that these two guys came in as your top two qualifiers?
No, it's just like 2 years ago. I'm trying to think the guy's name. I watched him on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, you called...
and I walked by him and I said, there's
Endersby, Scott Endersby.
I walked by and I told Lee...
You told me, there's a guy who's going to win.
Yeah, he said he's going to win it this year. And sure enough, he won it hands down. He was so strong on Saturday, there's just no question. And we got this going on right now. Either one of these guys can win.
After a turkey.
Now he's throwing urethane, and you can see urethane is the more softer ball. Not softer, but it's a reactive ball. And his hooking quite different than Blake's ball is hooking. See how far out to the left he is? It still makes it back to the pocket. So whichever they're comfortable with, you know, Eric likes that and Blake likes his.
Yeah, it is certainly, you know, a head-to-head situation here in a stepladder finals, but the battle is not with your opponent. The battle is with yourself, isn't it?
Right. I was watching the national tour last week, and we had Tommy Jones playing, and then I had to leave before he had his final match.
2 weeks ago. Yep.
2 weeks ago.
When he rolled the 300 in the title. Yep.
Right. So,
it stayed
bad
up.
Bad slide. You got to have it spotted, Jack. Spot the 8 pin on that 8 pin.
Yeah, Jack will get it for us. Okay, so we have to go physically, manually put the pin in place. Yep.
Well,
Here's the 30 that rolled today,
exactly.
And what they came over yesterday. And I know we always focus on the final 5 and who we get to see on TV, but we want to make sure we recognize all 30 who made it in.
Right, and if you look at it, this is how they finished yesterday to get into the top 30.
Monique, number 6, she's coming down from Canada. Bowls on, what did you say, Team Canada or something?
Yes, that's a lady bowler, just super.
And I'm right in the way of the communication to get to the back of the pin set, but yeah, those are the 30, and that's how tight it was at the. We talked about that off the top, but you see Brian in there who, and Dale and Antonio all finished at 28, and we were so close.
Oh yeah,
and it was tight. It was okay. Now we're back. Pins down, splits up.
You got the 6-8 split. It's very tough, but you threw it too hard. But you know, he threw it in the pocket, and that's what he. And the result is almost pushed the 8 out of there, but it just slid it over. There's quite an area to pick that pin up too, so it slid it over so far that the machine couldn't find it. The pin actually goes up through a hole in the deck, and clamps could grab it, but he couldn't get hold of it, so it fell over.
But that's just how crazy this game is.
Yep.
I mean, he just looks. I mean, he's pounding them for 3, and then you get one split, and 86 through 4, and now Blake's gotten an opportunity here to pick up his turkey.
I see the headphones went back on Eric.
High.
Yep, too high.
Actually, yeah, he will take that.
Oh yes.
he was thinking if that 10 stays and.
Well, Eric had the better of the hits of the two guys right there, and he got a split, and Blake got a bad hit, and he got away with it. So just crazy the luck of the, how the fall is.
This is the 4th frame for Wahlstrom. Parvey again with an 86 count through 4. Got it.
Yep.
Oh, we're going to make it through a year with no 300s.
Nope.
Our last 300 was 2 years ago. Matt Smallin.
Right, Matt Smallin. We have had 17 300 games, if the outage like over the last 34 years, so they do happen. And we didn't start giving $300 away about 10 years ago, so and we want to give it away because it adds to the tournament.
And you're reaching into your own pocket for that. And you want to give it out, don't you?
Oh, of course. It just makes a good tournament.
5th frame.
Well, I don't know if just a little interruption there kind of stalled them or what, but we'll get back on track here with a good scoring. Seems like since we had that pinfall over, they kind of both just kind of settled out.
But I mentioned the 300s. I'm going back. This is probably 20 years ago. We gave away a boat. Didn't Russ Meyer win a boat?
Yes, he did 1 year. $25,000. He was insured through Sport Marine, and he won a boat. And then insurance got to, because there were getting to be so many 300s, the insurance got
the premium
prohibited.
got so high. Yeah,
it got prohibited.
Okay, now as you and Brian were talking about in some of our earlier matches, Parvey has an open frame, but the way you get back is to put some X's up there, and here in the 5th, Parvey's got a chance.
Oh yes, in fact the game's basically tied right now. So.
Ooh,
that got away on him, but he's still all right. They're still within 1 pin of each other.
Now this one, you can tell it doesn't have a chance to get back.
No, he really got her out wide. And then in doing that, he got outside the track line, which hit more oil, and the more oil is no friction, and guess what happens? It doesn't quite turn when it should. Ooh, that dirt on the end. Now the urethane saved him there, the reactive urethane. He knows it too. He knows it too.
Because why?
It hooks harder on the end. See where he could have chopped it with the urethane, going more straight. The ball cut right on the last part, picked it up. If he had the urethane, it might not have got there in time. It just has a little wider hook on it.
Yeah, just 1 pin difference.
It's a good match. Good match. Let's see who gets the double turkey to run away with this thing. Nope, it seemed like he dropped that one a little bit.
Yeah. Stays in the channel, doesn't take out the 7, and
no.
Cross the lane to cover.
You see the difference of the ones that have been out there with a lot of years of experience. Generally, those single pins are going to go down. Where a climber, when he's there, first big tournament, shoot for major big money, but he lost 3 single pins in those 2 matches, and that's crucial. You can't do that. The next time he's out there, he'll be more experienced. He'll do it.
I know it's a strike game and it's a power game and it's all that, but if you don't cover spares, you don't ever make it to today, do you?
Spares pay the bill.
And all 30 of those people who you saw out there, they, including our qualifiers as well, I mean, they maybe didn't earn a check as big as they wanted, but everybody's earned some money this
You
weekend.
bet. And even the alternates,
Yeah.
they got $100 each to show up in case they're needed. Well, even after 9 games, we still needed an alternate. I'm surprised Bob made it that long without pulling out, because he was hurting pretty bad. Hey, it was a little tight, a little too high.
Is it adjustment need to be made then here?
It feels a little cooler in here right now, and if the temperature go down because all the bodies have left, then the lane gets a little tighter and tighter. If the temperature drops, the lane starts skidding. If it's a little warmer in here, and because it feels like it's down about mid-60s right now, and if it does that, you probably tighten up the lane by 2 to 4 boards. It's been proven. They did scientific tests on that. If it's warm in the building, the lanes get dried out quicker. It's just amazing how temperature affects the roll of the ball and everything else. So it just isn't throwing a bowling ball down the lane. It's trying to analyze all that stuff and outfigure it. Now I've been watching Blake. He takes a little relax, deep breath.
Yeah, he's trying to get himself settled in here for his 7th frame.
And then he gets a nice roll on it. And looking good. Nope, high. And the lanes have changed just a little bit in how they're reacting. You can tell that, but the guys are also tightening up a little bit. Both of them are trying to give it away. You can't have that.
But I mean, the battles within yourself, you know that you need to make a change, but how big of a change and all of this stuff you're trying to figure out.
Well, it starts becoming a gamble on where he should be at, and do I do it right the first time? I like the way they cover both pins with the ball.
Okay. Explain what would be a big change. Is it?
Oh, moving 2 or 3 boards left or right with a different ball.
So 2 boards or 3 boards is a big.
1 or 2 boards, or changing equipment without him throwing that ball. They might go to a less aggressive ball. They got enough balls they can try everything, but do I want to do it right now?
Right now in the championship match, and here's Parvey in his 7th frame.
He's still with the same ball. That hurt. Yeah. That hurt.
So after going strike to get things started, he had a split, and then a 6, then a 9, now a 7 split.
Right. That gives Blake an opportunity to go out there and take command.
Open frame in the 7th frame for Parvey.
We got a 144 possibility for Blake. So there's only 1 frame difference. Just, I mean, they still plenty of room for either one of them.
There you see, 8th frame coming up for Parvey.
Ooh, 2 bad shots.
Another split.
2 bad shots. It didn't quite start out this way with our 2 left-handers, but it sure has developed into this.
Well, that's one of the things, like, I'm not a bowler, just how fast everything changes, conditions, lanes.
Well, I really think the coolness of the temperature has really made a difference in the last 4 or 5 frames. A lot of people have left, the building's empty. We only got 30, 40 people here. These are the only 2 lanes being used, and the building's cooling down.
That's always one of the interesting dynamics of this tournament, because, I mean, it's packed yesterday, and there's people all over the place here, but you know, right before the show starts, everybody who's from here runs home to watch it on TV.
Exactly.
Not everybody, obviously. We have a few people off to our left, and you see some spectators hanging here. But in terms of having the center be totally full, we're certainly not that.
Right, and they like to go home, kick out, and have that Budweiser.
And watch it on TV.
Yes. There it is.
Yep.
Finally, it was a weak strike, but it was a good strike.
Any strike's a good strike at this point, right?
Never give them back. Never give them back. You see guys kind of throw their hands up when they get it broken like they're in disgust. I said, you don't want to give it back. It's a strike. Take it. makes up for the one you should have had.
Well, I say that on a golf course. I can't use the exact term, but basically my point is someone will miss a birdie putt and then they'll get mad. I never get angry at a par.
Yeah, exactly. A par is a par.
That's the clean version of that story, by the way.
Well, I knew that's what you were alluding to there. I kind of talk like that once in a while, too.
I played golf with you, Jim.
Yeah.
There's the strike, and he got back-to-back.
There's what he got relaxed again.
Some deep breaths there.
People just don't realize.
Ninth frame load up here, so this is really important for Parvy here in the ninth, isn't it?
This is what they call pressure time.
And when the pressure's on this week, he has been coming through. Got it.
Now, he was relaxed. You see, he almost like he'd given up, and he's totally relaxed. He threw a good relaxed ball, and there he is, the arm swing and everything. Seems like they tighten up a little bit when they're in trouble. Now, that ball's got good reaction again. That's where he had it when he first started.
Tenth frame
he can get a
for our number one qualifier.
Yeah. Nope. That took him out.
It's his third split. Yes, his third split of this game too, right?
Right. Look at that deep breath. Like this.
Well, congratulations to Blake. We'll hand some checks and do all that stuff out, but Wahlstrom has to finish up. This is his 10th frame. Clayton Moore, who's over there chatting with him now. We'll talk to Clayton as well. There's Clayton, finished 4th. Tell you, what you've done with this tournament over the years, and the way people have, and I know you deflect it, Jim, but I give you a lot of credit for making this what it is, and it's important for these guys to win the championship. Their names go up, and they're not coming down.
Well,
when you win it, you're forever the champion of this thing.
You bet. What I like is they go on the banner if they win it, and it stays there for entirety. The money comes and goes, and I'll say that again when you give them the money. We talk about that, but you can never take the banner away.
2:23 is the final count for our champion, Blake Wahlstrom. So Blake from Minot wins it over Eric Parvy, our number 2 qualifier, finishes number 1. Jim and I will be down handing out some checks and some trophies and all of that stuff. When we come back, we'll wrap it up. The 34th annual KFYR TV Budweiser Bowling Classic. The bowling is done. We got a few things to hand out here. Jim and I back on the lanes here at Midway Lanes, our 34th annual. Jim's getting the checks in order, and we want to bring out the people who you just watched bowl, and we'll get them to them. We'll start with our number 5 place finisher. Justin, come on out. Justin Coast from Moorhead. Justin has a check of $725. Come right over here, Justin. We'll talk at you a little bit. And your match, I think, is a perfect example of how crazy bowling can be at the end, huh?
Absolutely. I mean, it's never over till it's over, you know.
How'd your week go?
It went really well. I mean, I speared well all week long and threw a lot of strikes. Caught a lot of wins there and finished well.
Thank you very much, Justin. Jim, a few thoughts about the man from Moorhead.
I'll tell you, he's a tough shooter. I watch him every year, and it's good to have you on the show. You did well, and it's going to be your year one of these days where you get one of those banners. So just keep coming back, all right? Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much, Justin.
Thanks, guys.
Good. Thank you. And Clayton Moore. Clayton, Certainly no stranger to this. We've handed out checks before. This one's not the number one check. It's our fourth place finishing check for $850. Clayton, how'd your week go?
It was a good week. I mean, this is always my favorite week to come because this place is amazing. So it was a good week.
And try and explain this. I guess you bowl all over the place all the time. How does this tournament fit in with some of the other things that you go compete in?
It fits in all kind of the same. I mean, it's a similar format, similar to what we do. It's just the family atmosphere that's here that changes everything for me personally. It's just the way we feel about this place.
Awesome. Jim, your thoughts?
Well, I like what he just said because we are a family place and we do it with all our kids that work for us and all that. And Clayton, you will get that banner one of these years. You will get that banner.
No.
Yes, you will. So you've had a couple seconds and stuff, but we're going to get you home yet. So come back next year.
Shall do. Thanks again. Much appreciated. Lee, thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yep. Clayton's been close, but this is not the year. You'll get one pretty quick. Where's Tristan at? Tristan, come on out here.
We have a surprise.
Yep. Tristan, congratulations. You and Bob finish in the number 3 spot overall. Talk, if you will, a little bit about, I guess, the importance of an alternate and what your role was today and how you jumped into being here on TV.
Oh, I finished kind of just under the radar the first day, so I came out here and I was like, well, see if anybody needs me, and then I'm glad I stuck around and everything because Bob unfortunately couldn't finish out today, and I stepped in and I was good enough to get into the stepladder.
Now, the third place money is $1,000. Jim handed the 2 checks, and talk a little bit about what you and Bob kind of discussed, because one of those checks with your name on it is $450 and Bob's $550. He did a lot of the heavy lifting, but he seems to be a little nice to hear at the end.
Yeah, I'm really glad because he set me up going into the placement match. He kind of kept me going, and then luckily I was just able to kind of keep it rolling, the momentum from the placement match going into the stepladder.
Jim, your thoughts on what Tristan's day's been like?
Well, yesterday or even this morning when he was the first alternate, that means he stands in place in case this very thing happens. And a lot of times we release our alternate bowler because there's no injuries after the 5th, 6th game, but he hung in there, and after the 9th game of qualifying out of 10, we needed our alternate, and he was ready. We sent him down for 5 minutes of warm-up, come down here, and he did awesome. First year, 19 years old, first experience of that, and to get in that position, I think it was a wonderful decision. You got it. They put the 2 guys together and they agreed to a mutual deal how they're going to split the money if he got any money. And look at there, they did well, $550 and $450. Congratulations, Chris.
Yeah, congratulations. And Tristan, if you didn't catch it, rolled a $260 in that spot, the 10th game after he came in for Bob. Tristan, awesome. We'll see you back on the show.
By the way, his opponent had $250. He had $260. They both had to strike out. You're awesome with the player pressure on you. Okay.
Thank you, Tristan. All right, let's bring in Eric, our number 1 qualifier. Eric, it's a check for $1,400. He finishes in 2nd place. Unfortunately, 1st place isn't going to the guy who knocks the most pins down this weekend, because that certainly was you. What did the late conditions do for you this week prior to that championship match?
Well, yesterday I came from Canada and I had a lot of surface on all my bowling balls, because up there you can adjust your surface after every game. So I had to use a pro ball yesterday and didn't have quite as good of a look, but then I made some adjustments this morning and was able to have a lot better look and kind of ran away from the field this morning, so it was good.
You had to wait the longest, obviously, after rolling the position round. You have the headsets on, you try to stay as loose as you can, but there's pluses and minuses, I guess, if there is such a thing as a minus of being in the number 1 qualifying spot.
Yeah, I mean, I stayed loose. I had my shots. It was just came down to execution, and Blake rolled a better game than I did. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. You can't hide. The final number is the final number. Jim, he knocked down more pins than anybody else. Yep, Jim's going to be right back. We have the runner-up trophy that goes along with that $1,400 check. Make sure you get that. And
Thank you.
As you shake hands, Jim, give your thoughts on his performance this week.
Well, I love Eric's performance and his style of bowling. Now, he's left-handed, where I always admire them anyway, because they seem like to be so smooth, and we talk about it all the time. smooth as butter and all that stuff. But I really thought that it'd be a larger score for the two lefties we had there. But it seemed like they changed just a hair. And I was telling Eric this, and he said, no, he said, the only thing changed, he said, I wasn't executing right. So, he tried to be honest with himself, and I looked at it a different way, but he did very well. Top qualifier today, and then you come in here and get $1,400. That's an amazing tournament. Congratulations.
Eric is our runner-up. Let's bring Blake in. Jim, go grab that trophy if you would, too. Blake Wahlstrom comes down from Minot and takes a couple of things. The check that you can take to the bank.
I like that.
He likes that. The trophy that will go on the mantle. His name will go up along with our previous 33 champions. And, of course, we'll put we got your name on there already on that big check. But, Blake, congratulations. Second time on TV, first time as a champion. And how'd it go? I mean, it obviously went well.
Yeah, first game I got off to a good start, so it was easier to relax. The middle of that game, I just kept hanging up, not releasing the ball properly, so took a little bit, but I finally got there.
What are sometimes that inner monologue or that conversation bowlers have with themselves after a shot, whether it's good or bad?
I talk to myself quite a bit, but it's normally pretty positive. But there's sometimes you get really mad at yourself, and it's probably not safe for TV. So
yeah, don't say it.
Yeah, no, we're not going to. So, but I'd like to thank everybody here at Midway Lanes. Hi to my family back at home, and thanks for the support from family that's here and everything. So.
Awesome, Jim. Well, he's our champion. What do you think of the way Blake performed this week?
Well, he performed fantastic. He got himself a banner, and I'll tell you that banner's there forever. It's going to stay there. The money's going to go, but the banner and your trophy, it's on your mantle and stuff, is going to be there forever. It's memories of a fun weekend, and you earned it hard. You worked your butt off, and I watched you over there after term was over. You took a deep sigh of relief. It looked like you're almost like saying thank you. So you did wonderful. Congratulations.
Now, before we go off the air and join Jim, go grab that, and we'll present that as well. We have NHL hockey coming up next on your NBC station, but this belongs to Blake Wahlstrom as well. Congratulations from everybody here, our 34th annual champion. So congratulations, Blake. All this goes back to Minot as well, and we'll see you next year.
We'll be here.
He'll be here. And Jim, as we go to head to this final break, your thoughts on how things rolled here in year number 34? They just keep rolling along, don't they?
I'm going to go one more. I got my partner just showed up here, and he's going to be here in 3 years, but he'll be here full-time in 3 years, but when he gets here. But we're going to probably take one more of these, you and I doing this, and I'm going to turn it over to him. But before I do that, all our spectators, our families, our sponsors, everybody, we had a fantastic weekend. Our employees, they pull it off. The machines run beautiful with my mechanics, the gals in the bar and in the concessions, and our counter people, wonderful. Our sponsors, always solid. What can you say? McQuaid Distributing, they lead it up for that $5,000 with the other sponsors. Of course, we got McQuaid and KFYR, and you guys are unbelievable. You're fun to work with. I'm 34 years, you're 28 years?
27.
27, going 28 next year. So thank everybody. We had a wonderful time.
We certainly did. What a super way to start this day. So congratulations to our champion and everyone who has bowled in this event. Jim, thank you. You're the glue that makes this thing rolling, or keeping it rolling. And we thanks again to everybody for watching, and we'll see you again next year. So long from Midway Lanes and Mandan. That's it from the 34th annual KFYR TV Budweiser Bowling Classic.